The street was silent except for the howling wind and the occasional sound of a car passing by in the distance. Snow fell like soft feathers from the gray sky above, blanketing the sidewalks and street corners in a fragile white veil. It was the kind of cold that bit through gloves, that clung to your lungs with every breath. Most people were tucked away in the warmth of their homes, their lights glowing behind frosted windows. But not Jack. Jack was outside, jogging as he did every morning. It was his ritual. A former firefighter and war veteran, routine kept his demons at bay. He had seen too much in his time, buildings collapsing, people screaming, flames licking at the edges of life. Running cleared his head. That's when he heard it. A faint yelp. Muffled. Desperate. Almost drowned by the wind. He stopped. Heart pounding, breath forming clouds in the air. He tilted his head and listened again. There it was, a whimper, weak and fading, coming from the alleyway near the old bakery that had been shut for months. Without hesitation, Jack turned off the main road and jogged down the icy path toward the sound. The snow crunched beneath his boots. As he turned the corner into the alley, he saw it. A small, trembling dog, no bigger than a loaf of bread, its fur matted with dirt and snow, a gash visible on one leg. It was backed against a pile of frozen garbage bags, eyes wide with fear, ribs visible through its skin. Its tail didn't wag, it was too weak even for that. Jack knelt slowly, lowering his voice. "Hey there, buddy. It's okay. I'm not gonna hurt you." The dog whimpered but didn't move. Jack pulled off one of his gloves and slowly extended his hand. The cold stung immediately, but he didn't flinch. Inch by inch, he moved closer. The little dog sniffed the air cautiously. Then it collapsed. No warning. Just a soft slump as its tiny body gave out. "No, no, no," Jack muttered, rushing forward. He lifted the dog carefully into his arms. It was cold, far too cold. Its breathing was shallow. He didn't think. He just ran. Back down the alley. Onto the street. Cars honked as he darted across intersections, cradling the dog against his chest like a lifeline. He wasn't even sure where he was going, just that he had to get it warm. Alive. He reached his apartment in record time, flung open the door, and laid the dog gently on a pile of towels near the heater. "Hang in there, little guy," he said, wrapping it gently. "You're gonna be okay." He called the emergency vet hotline. "He's not moving much," Jack told them. "He's freezing. Weak. I think he's injured. Bring him in right away," the woman on the phone said. "We'll be ready." Jack grabbed his coat, rewrapped the dog in blankets, and jumped into his truck. The heater blasted hot air, but it wasn't enough. He kept checking the bundle in the passenger seat, talking to it like a baby. "You're gonna make it. Just hang on. You're a fighter, aren't you?" The dog didn't respond. At the clinic, the vet team rushed him in. Jack stayed in the waiting room, pacing, heart hammering in his chest. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, the door opened. "He's stable for now," said the vet, a woman in her 40s with gentle eyes. "He was hypothermic and dehydrated. You found him just in time." Jack exhaled for what felt like the first time in an hour. "Will he be okay? We're keeping him overnight. He needs fluids, warmth, and care. But he has a chance now. Thanks to you." Jack nodded, his throat too tight to speak. As he walked out into the snow again, the vet's words echoed in his ears. Asterisk, you found him just in time. Asterisk. But deep down, Jack knew. It wasn't just the dog who needed saving. He did too. Backslash, to be continued. The next morning, Jack was already waiting outside the vet clinic before the doors unlocked. Snow still clung to the corners of his jacket as he paced outside in the freezing cold. His breath came out in steady white clouds, his eyes locked on the glass door, waiting for movement. He hadn't slept. Not really. He kept replaying that moment the dog collapsed, how helpless it had looked, how light it had felt in his arms. Too light. At last, the lights inside flickered on. The vet, Dr. Hayes, opened the door with a soft smile. "You're early." "Yeah," Jack said. "I couldn't stay away." She led him inside. The warmth hit him like a wave, but he barely noticed. "He made it through the night," she said as they walked. "He's still weak, but he's a fighter." They entered a recovery room where the little dog lay bundled in a heated bed, tubes gently connected to his paw. His eyes were open now, barely, but they followed Jack as he approached. "Hey, buddy," Jack said softly, kneeling down. "You remember me?" The dog gave a faint wag of its tail. "Just once. But it was enough." Dr. Hayes crouched beside him. "He needs a name, you know. He deserves one." Jack stared at the little soul in front of him and whispered, How about Scout? Scout, she repeated. I like that. The hours passed quietly. Jack stayed beside Scout, reading a book or softly talking to him. The bond between them formed in silence, in trust. Jack didn't know why he felt so drawn to this creature, but there was something about the fight in Scout's eyes. Something familiar. Something he hadn't felt in a long time. Dr. Hayes checked in regularly. He's responding well. Eating a little. We still need to monitor his leg wound, but the frostbite isn't as bad as we feared. Jack exhaled. Relief washed through him, warming something inside that had been frozen for years. Later that day, as Jack prepared to leave, Scout whimpered softly. He stopped and turned. Don't worry, Jack said. I'm coming back tomorrow. First thing. Scout gave another weak wag of his tail. The next few days became a pattern. Jack arrived early, stayed late. He brought Scout toys, blankets, and even sang to him once when no one was around. Dr. Hayes smiled at the change. You've done something incredible for him, Jack. Jack shook his head. He's the one helping me. One snowy evening, after Scout had stood on his own for the first time, Dr. Hayes pulled Jack aside. He's strong enough to go home, if you're willing to take him. Jack blinked. Home? You've basically adopted him already, she said warmly. He trusts you. He needs you. Jack looked over at Scout, curled up peacefully on his bed. For a moment, Jack saw something else, a future. A small spark of light in the darkness that had followed him since the war. Yeah, Jack said, voice thick. Let's take him home. Dr. Hayes gave him a care package and final instructions. Jack carefully lifted Scout into the truck, wrapping him in a thick blanket. The dog rested his head against Jack's arm the whole way back. That night, Jack laid Scout on a soft bed by the fire. The snow tapped gently on the windows. The house didn't feel so empty anymore. As Jack sat down beside him, Scout nudged his hand with his nose. You're a brave little guy, Jack whispered. The dog let out a soft sigh and closed his eyes. And for the first time in years, Jack felt something he thought he'd lost. Peace. To be continued. Winter melted into spring. The snow disappeared, giving way to soft grass and blooming trees. Jack's house, once cold and quiet, now echoed with life. Scout had healed, not just physically, but in spirit too. His fur was glossy, his energy boundless. Every morning, he greeted Jack with an excited bark and wagging tail, ready for another adventure. Jack smiled more. Slept better. His nightmares became less frequent. The heaviness he carried from his past had begun to lift, one moment at a time. Each one shared with the dog he had saved. They went everywhere together. Long hikes, coffee runs, lazy afternoons in the park where Scout would chase squirrels he had no intention of catching. People noticed. Strangers stopped Jack just to pet Scout, drawn to his friendly nature and soulful eyes. And with every interaction, Jack reconnected to the world a little more. One sunny day, Jack and Scout visited a local school for a community event. Dr. Hayes had suggested it. Therapy animals were known to help children struggling with anxiety, and Scout had a calmness that soothed anyone he met. The children gathered around him with gentle hands and curious eyes. What happened to his leg? One boy asked. Jack knelt beside him. He got hurt. A long time ago. But he didn't give up. Another child asked. Were you scared when you found him? Jack nodded. Yes. But sometimes the right thing is scary. That's how you know it's important. The children listened, wide-eyed. Scout licked a girl's hand, and she giggled. On the drive home, Jack looked at Scout curled in the passenger seat. You're not just a survivor, he said. You're a healer. That night, Jack sat by the fire, Scout resting beside him. The air was calm, peaceful. He thought back to that freezing alley, the moment that changed both their lives. One decision, one act of courage. It didn't take much, just the willingness to stop, to care. He leaned over and scratched behind Scout's ear. Funny, huh? I thought I was saving you. Scout looked up at him with those eyes, the same eyes that had once begged for help, now filled with quiet gratitude. But really, Jack whispered, you saved me. Moral of the story asterisk. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness can rescue more than one soul. In saving another, we often find parts of ourselves we thought were lost forever. Jack risked his life to save a dog, but what he gained was far greater. Healing, purpose, and a bond that transcended pain. Because love doesn't always come when we expect it. Sometimes it finds us in an alley on a snowy morning, in the shape of a broken little dog who just needed one person to stop and care. And that, in the end, makes all the difference. / the end.